Good afternoon, friends. A certain number of youngsters, students have been approaching me for quite some time, asking me if I could guide them as to how to prepare for the SSB, the interview process, the testing process for joining the defense forces, whether it is through National Defense Academy, Officers Training Academy, Indian Military Academy, ACC entry, or any other entry for that matter. And right now there are a certain number of students that I'm working with. Now to begin with, you need to understand, as although I've decided to make this short crisp video clearly stating what is required for clearing the SSB, and the points that I'm going to mention are very few in number, but each of those points need a long period of time and consistent efforts to be improved upon. Each of those points, understanding them, improving upon them. Having said that, with your logic and reasoning, with your thinking, to be able to become an officer, you should be able to decipher, come to the correct conclusion, what is required, what is more significant and what is not, what should be more significant and what should be not. You should be able to decide it on your own. You don't need me, you don't need anybody. If you have the logical thinking, the reasoning, then you would arrive at the correct conclusion as it is. But just to validate, my video might validate what you believe in, or it might negate what you believe in. Say that is the purpose of the video. To begin with, I want to clarify that SSB is not an interview that you can crack. You might crack many other interviews. There is no code here to be cracked, because the requirements are psychological. It's in your nature, in your personality, in your thinking process, in your thinking abilities, behavioral abilities, and that is not something you can acquire in a short duration of time and crack the interview. So let's forget about that part. Yes, some of those who qualify the SSB might continue to believe that they cracked it, but it was basically because they had the desired characteristics, the requirements. That is why they qualified, and not because they cracked it, although they can obviously continue to believe in that. Now the first thing requires a clarification. When you're wanting to join the defense forces as an officer is supposed to be a leader. He has to lead people in uniform, men, women, he has to lead them. If you have to become a soldier, it's okay, go ahead, become one. It is an equally, if not more significant job. But if you are deciding that you want to be a captain, a commander, a leader, then requirements are specific. Every player cannot become the captain of the team. Every worker cannot become a manager or the director of a company. There are certain requirements related to your personality, whether you are able to do it or not. So, if I were to clarify the first requirement, as I mentioned, it would be that you should be able to work consistently on your own. You should not need others to motivate you and push you into doing it. A leader is self-motivated. So if you are not self-motivated enough to put in the efforts yourself, you cannot become a leader. That is the first thing. Second is, what is a leader's job? A leader's job is to communicate with his team. The leader, the captain, should be most efficient at communicating with his team. And if you are not comfortable in communicating in English, which is an international language of communication these days, and a basic requirement, if in your entire schooling and education you were not able to even arrive at the conclusion that learning language and communication is very significant, then obviously you're not going to do so now. So you should have been able to arrive at that conclusion earlier on. It shows that you're not capable of logical reasoning. You're not capable of consistent efforts which are required to develop those communication skills. So learning language and communication skills is significant. You have to be the influencer in the group. A captain, a leader has to be the influencer. Before a military operation, before a cricket match, before a football match, a corporate team working on a target which they have to achieve, the leader has to give them a talk. He has to clarify what their target is, why they need to achieve it, and why they need to do well. He has to get the team on board. So if he is not good in communication, what is he going to do? Communication language, to be able to convey that idea to his team, is the most significant. And if you're going for SSB ill-equipped with your communication skills, you expect you'll be able to influence the group. You might turn out to be a TV debate, shouting over each other. So even if you have been able to speak a lot, you will not be selected. They are not selecting journalists there. They are not selecting TV anchors there. They are not selecting politicians there. They are selecting officers. So irrespective of, even if you are able to shout and get the attention, it will not be the attention they want. Your language, your communication skills should be able to enable you to achieve that attention, to gain that attention. Now, that is something you should be able to work on yourself now onwards. And I have already uploaded a video clearly stating how to work on a language. Now coming to the second point, a leader is a decision maker. He has to take decisions. For taking decisions, he has to have meticulous observation, a detailed observation, a very quick eye for facts. He should be able to look at a situation and immediately see all the factors or nearly all the factors that are affecting the situation at that point of time. What all is there? Is there a police presence? Is the police pre-engaged or having attention at a different place? What is the nature of the crime? What is the nature of the crowd around? What is the place? He should be able to see all the details in a quick glance and then take a decision what needs to be done. And you can only have a detailed, that kind of a meticulous observation capabilities if you know how to be silent. If you are engaged all the time, if you are thinking social media profiles, posts, likes, dislikes, friends, politics, bitching, backbiting, back talking, you're thinking about all those things, you can't be a keen observer. You cannot be a decently okay observer in that case. And unless you can be a good observer, you cannot be a good decision maker. Simple. You will never see a leader or a person of a certain caliber holding certain responsibility chatting on his phone while talking to you or meeting you, or in any public meeting you will not see a mobile phone in his, a device in his hand, and he would still be managing all that because he cannot afford to be distracted. It gives a bad image. So if you are not a keen observer, you cannot be a good leader. Then after making the keen observation, then you should have the ability, the logical ability, the reasoning to decide which of these factors needs to be attended first and which needs to be attended later. This ability is required in leader. Are you capable of achieving it? Do you have it? Have you displayed it in the past? Have you held positions of responsibility? Come up with innovative solutions to that? Planned meticulously and implemented it? Have you delivered in the past? If you have, then maybe you are capable. The situations could be in your family, in personal relations, in professional relations, in your education, in your schooling system, wherever, or on the road. Have you been able to handle situations wisely? So this is the second requirement. Now the next is that innovative, to be innovative. To be innovative is to be able to come up with something new, a new idea. In a group discussion, in your lecturate, is there something new? Is there any element of something new? Or is it just something which everybody has been speaking? You have heard from somewhere, so you are speaking. Is there any innovativeness? Innovativeness in your behavior, innovativeness in your speaking, innovativeness in your actions, your planning, your ideas. Are you able to come up with something? So that is again something you need to see. Are you just following the belief system, what is being fed to you? Do you have an ability to reason? Are you receptive if new facts are disclosed to you to change your ideas for the better? I have seen so many students, despite the fact that the idea they just presented has been proven wrong by facts, they will continue to argue back to prove their point. Now the interviewing officer would not be impressed by that. That means you are stubborn, despite the fact that you were provided new facts according to which you should have changed your decision, modified your decision, or you should have arrived at a conclusion, a logical conclusion, that these new facts are not enough to alter your views and your plan. So if you are able to do that, that flexibility, but not blind flexibility. Are you a good team member? The next point, are you a good team member? Because you would be required to work in team. Are you a good team member? Do you have certain ethics? Are you able to motivate others? Are you self-motivated towards performing? So everyone has some element of jealousy. It might be a tinge of it, it might be extreme, but everybody has. But are you capable of handling that? If you're not capable of handling jealousy, you cannot be a team member. You can have that, everybody has jealousy, that's logical. That is competitiveness. But are you able to handle it while being a member of a team, or it influences and disrupts the performance of the team? Your jealousy or your lack of control over your emotional reactions, irritation, frustration, anger, are you able to handle them? While performing as a team, can you put them aside and focus on the best performance of the team? Are you a contributing member of the team? Are you adding to the value of the team or taking away from it? That is required. So these are the points, and very specific points. If you are able to display it in your lecturates, in your group discussions, in your GTO's tasks, command tasks, even in obstacle course, this is what is being tested. One or the other of these qualities are being tested, even in your physical task. So are you able to display it? If you are able to acquire it, you will be able to display it. The last lesson. If you are able to acquire these qualities in your day-to-day behavior, then you will be able to clear. You cannot present them falsely. And I will clarify that with an example. If there are a certain number of you, a group, and I make them stay together for a few days, they will be able to tell who is being sincere, who is not being sincere, who can be trusted for his word, who cannot be trusted for his word, who is a disruptor of the activity and who is a contributor to the activity, who is able to come up with good solutions, who is a good friend and still professional, who is a good leader, who is able to lead the group. Even you will be able to see that. And for you to believe that people who are professionally trained to conduct the SSB would not be able to see that. Again, it is something you can believe in, not that it's going to help you. So now your focus should be on acquiring these characteristics. If you do, you will qualify the SSB as it is. And the first point, starting with first point, if you have not acquired the first point, good communication skills, forget about it. If you are not able to acquire the first point, there is no reason, no purpose, no logic to go to the second point. Work on these points As for your word association test, thematic appreciation test, whether you should go for coaching, whether you should not go for coaching, doesn't really matter. If you have been able to acquire these characteristics, you will apply these very characteristics while answering those questions, providing your inputs to those tests. And yes, you are required to have certain intellect, intellectual ability, intelligence. You're required to have that to be able to solve problems and things. You need a certain level of IQ. Now, these are the things you need to work on. Each of these have lots of details. You should be able to figure them out yourself, or know. You should know whom to ask, whose advice to take. They are not looking for a person who is perfect in these qualities. They are looking at a person who has the capability to acquire these under training. That is what they are looking at. So I have tried to share the idea of this in a small video. It's gone to about 16 minutes. My job is over and your job starts. Whether you can work on these or not, that is your responsibility. My responsibility was to share these ideas with you. Take care and happy working, hard working. All the best.